Me. Mid-30s dude, recently moved back to my hometown. Yes, that dreaded small-town living, land of AS, trailer parks, and evangelical weirdness. Decide to pick up a fixer-upper near the outskirts of my old neighborhood. The plan, fix it, flip it, or rent it out, maybe make some beer money. Never expected I'd be dealing with the HOA from literal hell. Mom died a few years ago, left me a modest inheritance. Use it for a down payment on a cheap house that used to belong to some extended family. Fun fact, as part of my inheritance, I actually own 2 places on the same street. Didn't plan it, but life is weird. House number 1, the one I'm living in now. The big old place on a slightly larger lot. House number 2, a smaller ranch down the road I keep forgetting exists, because it's rented out to this old couple who handles everything themselves, so I rarely have to do squat. Anyway, sign the paperwork, pay the taxes, and now I'm apparently a landowner in an HOA community. Enter HOA Karen, or as I like to call her, Harpy overall. Short, silver hair, that permanent scowl, the kind of lady who complains about the shape of your mailbox, how loud your dog is, or how your grass is half an inch too tall. Got that pencil-thin, lipstick-lipped sneer that screams, I demand to see the manager. She's the self-appointed head of the local HOA, even though there's, like, an actual board of retired geezers. But she's the loudest, so everyone cowers. On day 1, she waddles over to my yard the moment I start unloading boxes. Excuse me, you can't have that truck parked on your lawn, she snaps, pointing at the half-on/half-off approach I took to avoid blocking the street. I shrug, wave politely, say I'll move it. Start to get that headache you get when you sense trouble on the horizon. After all, it's an HOA, and Karen is basically a walking cliché. This is typical, right? They exist to find petty reasons to fine you. Whatever, I have a sense of humor, and I politely nod my head, toss out a yes, ma'am, trying not to laugh in her face. She stomps off and disappears behind her meticulously trimmed hedges. Grass so green you'd think it's Photoshop, not a weed in sight. Frankly, it's eerie how perfect her place looks, like a dollhouse or a set piece from some suburban horror movie. Start painting the walls inside, cleaning out the old basement, listening to music while I work. My friend, let's call him Dave, helps me with some minor renovations. Karen shows up again, wanting to do a walkthrough inspection. I'm like, wait, what? That's not in my contract. You can't just barge in and walk around my private property. She says something about new residents requiring a baseline HOA compliance check. We argue, but she's weirdly insistent. I'm not naive. I've been on enough to keep a small sidearm, CCW, but obviously not about to brandish it on some old lady. Still, my guard goes up. That night, I'm rummaging in the garage, trying to find a decent place to store my father's old tools. Hear a scraping sound outside, like metal dragging on pavement. Peek out the side window, nobody there. Open the garage door, half expecting some raccoon or possum. Instead, see fresh scratches on the driveway, leading from the street to the side of the house. Like someone dragged something heavy, a big piece of metal or, I don't even know, straight up to my basement window. My heart's pounding. Could be kids messing around or some local teens pulling a welcome to the neighborhood prank. Still freaks me out. Nervous laughter. I do that weird forced chuckle like, huh? Then quickly roll down the garage door. Everything's quiet, but I feel something off, like that static in the air before a storm. Double-check the locks, slip the CCW into the nightstand, keep the bedroom door open a crack. Sleep doesn't come easy. Stare at the ceiling, ears straining for any sound of movement downstairs. All I hear is the wind outside and the occasional creak of the old house settling. Finally drift off, but the next morning I wake up with that dreaded sense of something not quite right. Wake up to a letter pinned to my front door with a thumbtack. My name typed on the front. No return address. Open it carefully. It's from the HOA board, an official notice that the color of my window shutters is out of compliance with some neighborhood standard. The kicker, I haven't even repainted the shutters. They're the same color they've been for a decade. There's a $100 fine if I don't correct the issue in 14 days. You have got to be kidding me, I mutter, picturing Karen's face behind this. Text Dave about it, and he just replies, oh, these are the spawn of Satan. Good luck, man. Fun's over, gotta handle business. I file a complaint with the HOA official email, asking for clarity. A day later, I get an email back from the president, but it's obviously Karen writing in third person. She references some random bylaw about harmonious exterior color palettes. None of it makes sense because, again, I haven't changed a damn thing. Whatever, I set it aside, deciding to handle it after I finish painting the guest room. Day 10 of living here. I'm in my backyard tearing out some old dead bushes. Get that feeling again, like eyes on me. Look up, see Karen in her yard, glaring. She's just standing there, not moving, arms folded, wearing these giant sunglasses that reflect the sun like some alien bug eyes. Try to wave, she doesn't respond, just keeps staring. Uncomfortable as hell. I turn back to the bushes, do my best to ignore her. Look back 5 seconds later, and she's gone like blink and vanish. No rustling, no footsteps, nothing. Nope.exe. He suggests I should consider installing cameras, says you never know with these creeps. Might as well have evidence if she trespasses. I agree. We plan a trip to the local hardware store. Looking around for security cameras, basic motion sensors, maybe a simple floodlight rig that records. As I'm browsing the shelf, I notice this old man with a walker giving me side-eye. He's wearing a cap from the local VFW post. Looks me up and down, then hobbles over. Whispers, "You live on Redwood Lane?" I nod, a bit startled. The old man's face goes pale, his eyes watery like he's recalling something traumatic. He says, "Watch your back there." That's all I'll say, then shuffles away, leaving me speechless. Dave laughs it off, but I feel a chill up my spine. There's something about the old man's expression that was too genuine to ignore. We buy the camera kit, head back, spend the afternoon installing them, 4 corners each side of the house. Once I'm done, I check the feed on my phone. Everything's set up properly. Dave jokes, "Now you can catch Karen sacrificing goats in your yard at 3 a.m. We chuckle, but yeah, the humor's wearing off again. This place has me on edge. 2 days later, another letter pinned to my door with a thumbtack. Seriously, who does that? This time it's a notice that I'm in violation of noise ordinances at night. Apparently, the board received multiple complaints of banging sounds and metal scraping around my house in the early hours. The letter warns me of another fine if I don't cease and desist. But guess what? I haven't been out there at night. I've been inside, half asleep or reading random threads on /x/. The irony is I heard scraping that first night, but I wasn't the one doing it. Decide to check my camera footage, see if something actually triggered the motion sensors. Footage from each camera, scanning through the nights, eyes growing heavy. First few nights, nothing but the occasional cat or raccoon wandering. Then, the night before the letter arrived, around 3:13 a.m. on the camera that points to the backyard. A figure in dark clothing emerges from the far corner of my yard. The silhouette is hunched, as if they're carrying something large. They move along the fence, pause near the back door, then proceed toward the basement windows. They lean down, and that's when I see a bright flash of reflection, like metal catching the light. There's no audio, but it looks like they were dragging something or scraping it against the concrete. My heart's pounding just watching. The figure stands up, looks directly at the camera, face obscured by a hood or something, then scuttles away into the night. I pause, rewind, freeze frame. The posture, the shape, it could be Karen, or maybe someone else. The figure is too tall to be her, I think, or maybe they were crouched. Hard to tell. Someone was on my property messing around with my basement windows, and now Karen's blaming me for noise violations? Start suspecting she's behind the letters, setting me up. Decide to forward the footage to the HOA board, letting them know I have evidence of trespassing. They never respond to my email. A day goes by, 2 days, nothing but radio silence. Phone rings at 2 a.m., unknown number. I pick up groggy, "Hello." Silence, then soft static, maybe breathing. I can hear a faint squealing noise in the background, reminds me of old metal gates opening. I say, "Hello," again, feeling that creeping dread. A whisper, "Leave the basement locked or else." Then the line clicks dead. If that isn't a reason to double up on your CCW around the house, I don't know what is. Sleep becomes a joke. Half the time I'm dozing on the couch with the lights on, gun on the coffee table. Even Dave notices my shaky hands when I hold a cup of coffee in the morning. A couple days later, I run into the old couple who rents my second property, house number 2 that I technically own. They're super sweet, wave me down in the grocery store. Anand, dear, "When are you going to visit us?" they ask, smiling kindly. I mutter something about being busy fixing up my main house. They give me a strange look. "We saw you the other night." I freeze. Saw me where? They say they saw someone that looked like me walking around the yard of the second house after midnight, shining a flashlight around. Except I wasn't there. Immediately, my blood runs cold. Is someone impersonating me now? I buy heavier deadbolts for all doors, including the basement entrance. Replace the old basement windows with sturdier glass. Add bars for good measure. Whole time I'm doing this, I keep looking over my shoulder, expecting to see Karen or that hooded figure. Some nights, I hear footsteps outside, soft crunch on gravel, but by the time I check the cameras, there's nothing. The tension is insane. I can't tell if I'm paranoid or if something else is really happening. The air in the house feels heavier, like the walls are closing in. Sometimes I swear I hear faint scratching behind the walls in the basement, but maybe it's just rats. Lightning, thunder, tree branches smacking against the roof. Power flickers a couple times, but halts. Around 2:30 a.m., the power dies completely, plunging the house into darkness. I scramble for a flashlight, cursing under my breath. Light up the living room, flick on my phone's hotspot to check the cameras. Great. No Wi-Fi, no security feed. I walk to the front window, peer outside. The entire street is dark except for one house across the road, a small ranch with bright lights shining inside. My adrenaline spikes. That place belongs to Karen, as far as I know. Why does she have power when everyone else is out? Something feels so wrong. It's almost like her house is glowing in the night. The wind is howling, rain slapping me in the face. Across the way, Karen's front door creaks open. I see a silhouette, a short figure stepping outside, holding what looks like an umbrella. They're on the sidewalk now, coming toward my side of the street, slow steps through the storm. My heart is pounding in my throat. I can't move. I duck back inside, lock the door, click off the flashlight, and crouch by the window. Lightning flashes, illuminating the street, and I see the silhouette pass by my yard, continuing down the road. For a second, I wonder if they're heading to my second house, the smaller ranch I own. The storm intensifies, thunder booms so loud my windows rattle. I sit there trembling, waiting for something, anything to happen. But eventually, after half an hour, I hear what sounds like a car engine revving in the distance, then silence. Power's restored around 6 a.m. First thing I do is check the cameras. The entire block had no electricity, so my system was offline too. Great. I decide I can't keep living in fear. I'll confront Karen directly and demand answers. So I march down the street around noon, stand on her doorstep. Her yard is unnaturally perfect. Flowers that don't seem local, hedges trimmed with geometric precision, everything symmetrical. I ring the bell. A weird chime echoes inside, sound like a slow church bell. Finally, she opens the door, looking very annoyed, like I interrupted some summoning circle in her kitchen. Before I can speak, she smirks. "You again. I hope you're here to comply with our bylaws." I swallow, try to keep my cool. "I have questions. About the letters, the trespassing, the power last night." She raises an eyebrow, invites me in with a mocking grin. "Well, come in then, let's discuss." The moment I step inside, a wave of unease hits me. The air feels stale, like it's never circulated. Overwhelming smell of potpourri and disinfectant, the kind your grandma might use but 10 times stronger. Everything is immaculate, white carpets, porcelain figurines on shelves, zero dust anywhere. She leads me to the living room. I see an older man dozing on a recliner, presumably her husband, or maybe an unlucky relative. The walls are lined with pictures, her with various neighbors, her at neighborhood events, her receiving some community award. There's even a photo of a small group of hooded figures standing outside what looks like the local community center. She's front and center, scowling at the camera. My gut clenches when I see that. Hooded figures. She notices my stare, quickly positions herself to block my view of that photo. "You wanted to know about the bylaws?" she says in a clipped tone. I bring up the noise violation letter, the scraping sounds, the suspicious figure on my camera. She denies everything, insists that no one in this neighborhood would do such a thing, and that you must have an outsider sneaking around. She refuses to acknowledge the hooded figure in the photo, switches topics every time I steer the conversation that way. Then she tries to guilt-trip me about how the HOA is here to protect property values, and that I should respect the rules. I can't get a straight answer. We verbally spar for 15 minutes. She's either deflecting or lying through her teeth. Finally, I excuse myself, feeling more confused than before. As I head to the door, I see her husband's eyes open, just a sliver. They're milky white, unfocused, like he's not all there. For a split second, he mumbles something, but I can't make it out. Karen quickly snaps, "Go back to sleep," and shoots me a glare. I step outside, mind racing, heart thumping. The following nights, I hear the scraping again around 3 or 4 a.m. This time, I sprint to the window, watch a dark figure scurry across my yard. By the time I get outside with my flashlight and the sidearm, they're gone. Footprints in the mud leading to the next yard over, but vanish near the street. The next morning, a bright orange sign is on my lawn, courtesy of the HO, warning me to remove unauthorized security cameras. Seriously? They're calling my cameras unauthorized and threatening me with daily fines. I've read the bylaws. Nothing says I can't have cameras, but apparently Karen's just making up new rules to harass me. At this point, I suspect some weird cult-like activity. The hooded photo, the figure at night. It's more than petty HOA nonsense. The same place the old couple said they saw me with a flashlight. Parked my car a block away, approached quietly on foot around midnight. The renters are out of town visiting relatives, so the house should be empty. The streetlights buzz overhead, occasionally flickering. My shoes crunch on wet gravel. I circle around the backyard. The motion sensor light by the patio is off. My heart's pounding so loud I swear the neighbors could hear it. Suddenly, a light flicks on inside the house. I nearly jump out of my skin. Through the window, I see a figure in the living room, pacing back and forth. WTF, no one's supposed to be here. The figure is tall, wearing a long coat or cloak. I can't be certain. They're moving in a repetitive pattern, like they're searching for something. After a few moments, they walk to the front door, open it a crack, and step outside. I duck behind the trash bins, nearly drop my phone. The figure stands on the porch, scanning the yard, then quietly shuts the door. I'm thinking, should I call the cops? But in small towns, cops might be in on whatever's happening, or maybe they'll just blame me. The figure heads toward the sidewalk, then moves with surprising agility down the street, away from me. I exhale, feeling my entire body shaking, adrenaline spiking. Once they're out of sight, I rush to the front door, try my key, still works. I slip inside, flipping on the lights. The living room is deserted, but the lamp is on. No sign of forced entry. The smell is off like sulfur and wet dirt. A faint haze in the air, as if someone burned incense or something pungent. Everything else looks normal at first glance, just the old couple's furniture, decorations, a few family photos. Except, I notice the basement door is slightly ajar, a small puddle of muddy water on the floor leading to it. My body tenses up, every horror movie cliché hitting my brain at once. I should know it'd go down there, but I have to know. Quietly, I approach, push the basement door open. Steps creak as I descend, my phone's flashlight trembling. The basement is cluttered but normal. Washer, dryer, tool bench, boxes. Then I see fresh footprints in the dust, heading to the far corner, near an old wooden cabinet. The cabinet door is open, revealing a gap in the wall behind it, like someone carved out a hidden crawl space. Crouched down, shining the light inside. There's a narrow tunnel behind the cabinet, big enough for a person to squeeze through. I can feel a draft of cool, damp air. The smell of earth is stronger here, almost nauseating. My heart beats hammering as I lean in, trying to see how far it goes. Suddenly, I hear a sound behind me, floorboard creaking upstairs. Panic hits. I jump up, spin around, expecting to see the hooded figure or something worse. Silence, just the hum of the basement light. I realize I'm about to have a heart attack from fear, so I decide, nope, not tonight. Scramble back upstairs, locking the basement door behind me. Then I drive home, my mind a swirling mess. That hidden tunnel might connect to something underground, maybe multiple houses, who knows. My second property is literally on the same street as my main house, not too far from Karen's place. Did I just stumble on some secret passage they used to move around unseen? This is insane, but it kind of makes sense with the scraping sounds, the weird footprint, the phone calls. Ask him to come with me to recheck the property, maybe secure that basement door better. We arrive midday, bright sunlight, Everything feels slightly less terrifying. Except the front door is unlocked. My stomach drops. We both swear we locked it. Cautiously step inside. The entire living room is rearranged. The couch is moved. Chairs shifted. Even the rugs. It's like someone systematically combed the room. My friend whispers, "Dude, you want me to call the cops?" I hesitate but nod. This is breaking and entering. Cops show up, do a half-assed inspection. They note the footprints, the messed-up furniture. When we show them the hidden tunnel in the basement, they shine a flashlight, see it extends beyond the property line, and say, "Probably old utility access from years ago." They take a statement, shrug, and leave. No follow-up, no real investigation. Days later, the harassment from the HOA intensifies. Another letter about unapproved changes to the property exterior, plus an increased monthly assessment to cover community improvements. I ask the neighbors about these so-called improvements. They all just shrug or say they don't know anything about it. It's got Karen's fingerprints all over it. Meanwhile, the old couple is still out of town. I text them updates, but they just say, "We trust you and on, handle it as you see fit." I don't have the heart to tell them about the weird intruder or the tunnel. Tinted windows, no plates, or sometimes with those local plates, but they look brand new. They circle the block, sometimes parking near Karen's house. Once, I see Karen step outside, talk to someone in one of the SUVs, then it drives off. Every hair on my neck stands up. This is bigger than some petty suburban squabble. Decide to do a stakeout from my upstairs window, curtains cracked, gun at the ready. Around 3 a.m., I see movement at Karen's place. Someone in a hooded cloak, like in the photo, steps out, carrying a long object. I can't tell if it's a staff pipe or something else. They cross the street, vanish into the darkness. 10 minutes later, another figure does the same, heading in the same direction. My phone's camera can't capture details from that distance in low light, so all I get is a blurry mess. Heart-pumping adrenaline. I decide to follow on foot, staying far behind. Quietly slip outside, staying in the shadows. The figures move with an eerie grace, barely making noise. They head toward an empty lot at the end of the street, where an old playground used to be before the city tore it down. I crouch behind a large oak tree, watching as they form a small circle under the moonlight, maybe half a dozen of them. I can hear low chanting or humming, but can't make out the language. My mouth goes dry, skin crawling. This is beyond weird. It feels ritualistic, cultish. One figure raises that staff thing, and the others bow their heads. I think I see them pass around a small object, but I can't see what it is in the dim light. Part of me wants to run like hell, but a stronger morbid curiosity keeps me rooted. The chanting escalates, then abruptly stops. They all turn to face one direction, my direction. I freeze, not even breathing. One figure breaks off from the group and starts walking toward me. They hold up a small, dim lantern or flashlight, scanning the area. I flatten myself against the tree, the bark rough against my cheek. Time feels like it's stretching. My heart is a jackhammer in my chest. The figure's footsteps stop about 15 feet away. Then they turn back, rejoin the group, and the chanting resumes. I exhale, realizing I was seconds from being discovered. Slowly back away, making sure not to step on anything that could give me away. Once I'm a safe distance, I turn and sprint home, sweat pouring down my face. Lock every door and window, double-check the cameras. All I can do is pace around my living room, mind racing. What the hell is happening? HOA Karen is involved in some bizarre midnight ritual with hooded individuals. Possibly half the neighborhood is in on it. Trust me, that's exactly what I want to do. But the problem is, I sank a chunk of my inheritance into this property. Can't just bail without losing everything. Plus, the other house is still my responsibility, and that old couple depends on me. Besides, some twisted part of me wants to get to the bottom of this. I want to expose these creeps. Receive a formal letter from a law firm representing the HOA. They claim I'm in breach of contract, failing to comply with community standards, threatening me with eviction from the neighborhood. The letter basically says they have the authority to remove me from the premises if I don't pay outstanding fines and correct all violations. The irony? The letter states that Ms. Karen E. is the rightful owner of the property, citing some old deed. Except that's total BS, because the county records and my own documents prove I own this house. They must have done some shady forgery or found an ancient claim that never got updated. I don't know how they managed it, but they're trying to kick me out of my own damn house. He tells me it's complicated, something about contradictory deeds, overlapping plots. The county's system is outdated, so they might exploit some legal loophole to dispute ownership. He says we'll fight it, but it could be a long process. My frustration hits the roof. This is exactly the kind of nonsense Karen wants, to bury me in legal battles until I give up. Random knocks on the windows at 2 a.m., the scraping outside, always around the same time. My cameras catch glimpses of hooded shapes near the edges of the yard, but they never come fully into frame. I show the footage to the police again. They're dismissive, call it pranksters or shadow illusions. Even Dave is starting to question my sanity, though he believes me enough to offer me a spare room at his place if it gets too intense. One evening, I'm rummaging in the old attic, looking for any family records that might help prove my ownership. I find a dusty trunk full of old papers, diaries, property maps. Buried in there is a stack of photographs from the 1960s or so, black and white, showing the neighborhood in its early days. I flip through them, and my blood turns to ice. There's a photo of Karen, except she looks exactly the same age as now, wearing similar clothes, same distinct hairstyle. That's impossible. She'd have to be at least 90 or 100 if she were alive back then. But the photo suggests it's her identical. No aging. My hands shake. Could this be a relative? Or is it her? Find an even older document, referencing something called the Redwood Covenant. It mentions the rightful stewardship of Redwood Lane and how certain bloodlines must maintain control over the land. The language is archaic, borderline occult. It references gatherings under the full moon, required sacrifices. The wording is vague. And I see a name repeated in the margins. Eldridge. 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 Karen's last name is Eldridge. My stomach twists and knots. The puzzle pieces start clicking. Karen, or the woman I know as Karen, might be some timeless entity, or part of an old cult that's been controlling this neighborhood for decades, maybe longer. The hooded group, the tunnel under my second house, the bizarre chanting, they're tied to this Redwood Covenant. They want my properties because they're sacred land to them, or something. It explains why she's so obsessed with the details, the bylaws, controlling everything. Maybe they need me gone, or worse, they plan on making me vanish so they can reclaim the land fully. I call Dave, tell him we need a plan to expose them. We decide to do a full night stakeout at my second house, armed with cameras, maybe catch them red-handed. The day comes, we prep everything, set up hidden cameras in the yard, the basement, near the tunnel entrance. We wait till midnight, then slip into the basement, lights off, huddled in the corner behind boxes. 1 a.m., 2 a.m., nothing. Then around 3 a.m., we hear footsteps above. Someone's inside the house. We hold our breath, guns in hand, trying not to freak out. The footsteps approach the basement door. Slowly, the door creaks open. Moonlight spills down the stairs, revealing a tall, robed figure. We can't see the face. They descend halfway, then pause. Another figure appears behind them. I can feel Dave shaking beside me. The lead figure lifts a small lantern, scanning the basement, noticing the open cabinet and the tunnel. I glance at my phone screen, seeing the camera feed. It's capturing everything. This is good. If we get out of here alive, we'll have evidence. They're talking in some older language or dialect. Can't make out the words, but it sounds guttural and rhythmic. They approach the tunnel, stepping inside. A third figure joins them, carrying what looks like a rope or chain. For a moment, I wonder if they're planning to abduct someone or retrieve something from the tunnel. My heart's about to explode, but I know this is the proof we need. I resist the urge to run or confront them. We hear faint echoes of their voices growing distant. Dave and I share a panicked look. Now's our chance to escape or to follow them. In a moment of sheer insanity, we decide to follow, sticking to the shadows, using our phone flashlights sparingly. The tunnel is cramped, earthen walls reinforced with old wooden beams that smell of rot. The air is suffocating, dust swirling in the beams of light. The ground is damp, muddy in places. We move slowly, careful not to make noise. The passage twists and turns, occasionally branching off. We can faintly hear chanting ahead. Eventually, we see a faint glow, like lantern light reflecting off the wet walls. We kill our flashlights, inch closer until we reach a wide chamber, a subterranean room maybe 20 feet across. The robed figures are gathered in a circle, about 8 or 9 of them now, chanting around a small pit in the center. I see Karen's face in the glow. She's not wearing a hood, just that same scowl, eyes glassy with fervor. My stomach churns at how unnatural she looks in the flickering light, skin almost waxy. One figure steps forward, holding what appears to be an old, leather-bound book. They recite something in a raspy tone. Another figure uncovers an object on a small altar, something wrapped in cloth, dark stains on the fabric. My mind is screaming, nope, 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 but my body is paralyzed with shock. I can't see exactly what's under the cloth, but the air reeks of copper and decay. Karen raises her arms, chanting something that sounds like an invocation. Every robed figure responds in unison, voices echoing off the damp walls. A wave of nauseating pressure hits us, like being underwater at high tide. The lantern flames flicker wildly. The shadows on the walls twist and contort. I feel a static charge in the air, making my hair stand on end. Dave is trembling beside me, eyes wide, barely holding his phone. We're capturing some of this on camera, but who the hell will believe it? The robed group seems to be in a trance, as if they're communing with something beyond our understanding. We realize we're out of our depth. We turn to retreat, but Dave's foot slips on wet stone, causing a loud scuffle. The chanting stops abruptly, heads whip around, eyes fix on our hiding spot. Karen's voice cuts through the silence. Who's there? Panic surges. We bolt, sprinting back into the tunnel. Behind us, we hear shouting and frantic footsteps. The tunnel is a labyrinth, but we roughly remember the way back. My heart is pounding so violently, I swear I might drop dead from pure terror. We emerge into the basement, scramble up the stairs, slam the basement door shut, lock it, then dash out the front door. We see flickers of light behind the windows. The robed figures must have reached the basement. They're pounding on the door. We jump into Dave's car, peel out of there, leaving my car behind. My entire body is shaking, lungs burning. We drive straight to Dave's place, barricade ourselves inside, adrenaline surging. At dawn, we finally calm down enough to check the footage on Dave's phone. Grainy, shaky, but it shows enough. Robed figures, chanting, Karen's face clearly visible in that underground chamber. It's like something straight out of a horror movie. We realize we have the ultimate blackmail or evidence to blow this wide open. But we also know these people are connected, possibly to law enforcement or local government. Going public could put us in serious danger. My lawyer's not going to believe any of this. No one's going to believe I have a centuries-old cult running an HOA. Dave and I consider contacting some big investigative journalists, but we don't even know where to start. Plus, the threat of retaliation is huge. They know who we are, where we live. We settle on uploading the footage to a secure drive, sending it to a few trusted friends out of state as a dead man's switch. If anything happens to us, they release it. At least that's the plan. I gather some essentials, planning to crash at Dave's for a while. As I pack, my phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. We know what you did. A second later, you can't hide forever, Anon. Fear floods my veins. They have my number. They're probably tracking my movements. Another envelope, no return address. Inside is a single Polaroid photo, me and Dave in the tunnel, our faces partially visible, captured from behind a robed figure's perspective. The message scrawled in red ink, leave. This is our domain. You do not own this house. My hand shakes so badly the photo slips and falls to the floor. Hold up at Dave's, waiting to see if we can push legal action or if we should vanish entirely. The entire neighborhood is under the thumb of an ancient cult led by Karen, or Karen Eldridge, if that's even her real name. She's tried to evict me from a property I inherited, all to fulfill some twisted covenant. They have underground passages, do bizarre rituals, maybe practice black magic. Who knows? And their power is extensive. Should I skip town, sign everything over, and never look back? Or do I blow the whistle, risk my life, try to burn down their operation? The footage is out there, safely hidden. But I feel like they're watching my every move. I can't eat or sleep without checking the windows, paranoid about hooded figures or black SUVs. The phone calls and texts are relentless, each one more threatening than the last. Even Dave is freaking out, saying he can't live like this forever. This isn't just an HOA problem. It's deeper, older, and more dangerous than I ever imagined. Karen might be some ageless guardian of the Redwood Covenant, claiming rightful ownership of everything on the street. She's not going to stop until I'm gone or worse. Typing this out here on /x/ in case anything happens to me. If I go radio silent, you'll know they got me. Moved into my inherited house, got hounded by psycho HOA Karen. Discovered she and a group of robed weirdos host late-night rituals in secret tunnels under the neighborhood. They're possibly an ancient cult, forging deeds to claim I don't own my home. Caught them on camera, but local cops are useless or involved. Now I'm receiving death threats, losing my mind, staying at a friend's place. Literally stuck between fighting them or fleeing.